Cheech from Flyfish Food here. Today on A Tale Between Two Rumps, we talk about one of my favorite Stillwater flies called the Olive Willy. It's all about that rump, and if you don't have the right color rump, it's probably not going to work. Get rumpy with the Olive Willy.
That's a big brown.
Alright, so for this fly, typically I'm just tying it on a straight hook with a glass bead. But I want this one to kind of be jigged. This is a size 12 jig force long from Fulling Mill. And I should probably use a larger bead on this to make it so it doesn't look so funny like that. But this is actually the size that I want to use for my fishing application. So I'm just going to stick a bead on there, and this is going to take a second. I don't want to put any lead wire up in there, so I'm going to have to build up some thread. And if I just mash my finger right on the bead and hold it right where I want it and just move the thread in between the bead and my finger, it will build up the thread right where you want it, and you can quickly get it set. So I say, and here I am struggling to get it set. Alright, so that bead's going to live right there. And the key to this fly is the pheasant rump. So the pheasant rump is those looking feathers on a pheasant. Obviously not this color, but to get the best damsel olive-ish color, I like it dyed lemon yellow or dyed yellow. This one's dyed chartreuse as well. That makes a great fly. I'll show you what they look like. So this is the chartreuse, and this one is the yellow. And I like to fish the yellow one the most. So we'll use that one for the fly. So it's real simple. You're going to farm a feather out maybe halfway up on the rump. And we're going to use that feather for both the tail and for the hackle. Alright, so when I pull that out, you get this really cool, what they call an after shaft feather. And you can imagine how cool that is to tie into flies. So you can save those if you want. They're very fragile, so if you tie them in, make sure you secure them down. But this is the feather that we plucked out. Okay, so I'm just going to take some of this fluff on the side of this and peel it off. So just like that. And then I've got it in my fingers, and you kind of have to roll it and fold it to get it so that it's a little clump of feathers. So I will take that, trim it flat, and now it's time to take my thread back and tie it in. So we're going to tie it in just barely by the tips or the butts that I cut off. It's really simple to tie those down. It really doesn't create much of a bulky point. But anyway, that's the tail on our Olive Willy. We're just going to use standard fly tying chenille. This is just a hairline fine and dark olive. If you have anything that's similar to that, feel free to use it. I'm going to pluck off a little bit of material to expose the core, and we'll tie that in. And then that's going to get wrapped up to about, 1 millimeter behind the bead. So we'll just do that. Fancy purple popsicle vise, I'll use the rotary feature to wrap that forward to about right there. And we'll trim it. Okay, so now all we need to do is tie in this feather as a soft hackle. So I like to tie it in tip first, so I'm going to clean off the rest of the fluff off of this feather. And if you're really careful, you'll be left with the whole stem, and that makes an easier handle to grab onto. So from here, I'm just going to grab it by the very tip and preen the feathers down, and that provides like a little tie-in point. So we're going to tie the part that's still facing up and pop that in right here. You want to cinch it down pretty tight, because as you start to wrap, this can pull out of there. I like these Renomed scissors because they're so fine. I mean, the tips really get in between the bead and where we need to cut stuff off. So this is kind of a technique that I use a bit. I'm going to fold these feathers back. So I'm going to fold them with my finger, and then if I rotate my fingers, it will actually fold back both sides. All right, so see how I have the feather nice and folded? So I'll just take that. I don't need hackle pliers because I left this stem long, and I'm just going to fold those back with every turn. And if I do this right, there should be, you know, no waste, and when I tie this off, it'll create a nice clean tie-off point. All right, so we're tied off. All fingers, sorry, we were just cutting the stem. And now we'll just build up a little bit of a red head. And the only thing that's left is a little bit of a whip finish. Put your favorite varnish on that. Typically we won't varnish a fly on camera just because, you know, everybody has their own way of doing it. Anyway, this is a great fly to fish, you know, on a midge tip line. You could hang this under an indicator. You could do all kinds of stuff with it. But the Olive Willy has been a very effective fly for me for about 15 to 20 years. It was designed in Washington as a damsel or dragonfly nymph, and it's a staple up there in its original form. We also have a video for that one. So check them out.